Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are getting into a corner of English that looks simple, but boy, it causes a surprising amount of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about time, specifically those everyday phrases for parts of the day, morning, afternoon, evening,
Hmm.
and yeah, the tricky one, night.
That's right. These little words, prepositions like in, at, on, and then time, words like this, yesterday, tomorrow, they feel so basic, don't they?
They really do.
But you put them together with morning or especially night, and suddenly you're second guessing yourself, like, did I say that right?
Absolutely. And our source for this dive, it's a really helpful YouTube lesson guide that focuses right on these tricky spots. It pulls out the main patterns.
And maybe more importantly, the exceptions, the things that trip people up.
Exactly. So our mission today is really to cut through that fog. We want to help you unpack these phrases, get the main rules down.
Get a handle
Yep.
on those specific night exceptions that keep popping up,
Yeah.
and also see how adding a specific day just changes the whole game.
Right. The goal, well, it's to give you that confidence so you feel like you're saying it correctly, so it feels more natural when you're just chatting.
And avoid those little awkward moments when all you want to say is, I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump in.
Let's do it. Let's unpack this.
So, okay, where do we even start? Talking about parts of the day generally. What's the sort of standard way our source lays it out?
Well, it starts with the basic prepositions for those, broader periods.
Yeah.
The guide points out that for morning, afternoon, and evening, the go-to preposition is usually in.
In. Okay.
So you'd say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening.
In the morning, in the afternoon, the evening. Okay. Seems simple enough.
Yeah.
But there's the catch, right? There's always a catch with English time stuff.
There usually is. And here's the first big one. While we use in for those three, you absolutely do not say in the night. The
Okay.
correct phrase is at night.
At night, not in the night. Okay, that feels like the first really key thing to just lock in.
And the source is clear, right? Right. Don't waste time looking for some deep, logical reason why.
Exactly. Some bits of language, they just are. This at night is one of those. You just kind of have to memorize it.
Right.
So, you can plan to meet in the morning, but you'd say you like to watch movies at night. That little switch is crucial.
Okay, got it. So we have the basic in the for three and at for night.
Hmm.
What happens when we want to talk about today, this specific morning or afternoon?
Right. So for the current day, we usually drop the in or at and bring in the word this.
This, okay.
So you get this morning, this afternoon, and this evening.
This morning, this afternoon, this evening.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Following the pattern again, except I'm guessing night is going to be different again.
You're spotting the pattern of difference.
Right.
Yes, night keeps its special status here too.
Okay.
While you say this morning, you do not say this night.
Right.
The correct way to talk about the current night is tonight.
Tonight. Of course. Yeah, we use that all the time. I was so productive this morning, but I'm really tired tonight.
Exactly.
It seems obvious when you point it out, but you can see how the parallel with this morning might make someone think this night should work.
Oh, absolutely. And the source, it even has that little playful line, why? Because the sky is so high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just to kind of hammer home that sometimes there isn't a neat reason. It's just how we say it.
I like that. It just lets you accept and move on. Okay, so we've got the general case in the at and the current day, this tonight. Let's go backwards. How about yesterday?
Okay, yesterday. To talk about a part of the previous day, we use yesterday. Pretty straightforward again.
Okay.
Yesterday morning, yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening.
Let me guess. Night does its own thing again.
It does. This is the third time night marches to its own beat.
Okay.
You don't say yesterday night.
Hmm.
The correct phrase for the night before today is last night.
Last night. Okay, right. So we've got a really clear pattern of night being the exception now. In the morning, but at night. This morning, but tonight. Yesterday morning, but last night. It's consistently the odd one out in those cases.
It's a really interesting pattern of difference, isn't it? And the source also points out that last here is really connected just to night. You wouldn't normally say last morning or last afternoon for yesterday.
Oh, right. You just say yesterday morning.
Exactly. You just use yesterday. So that makes the last night exception even more specific.
Okay, makes sense. So general, present, past,
Yeah.
covered. What about looking ahead? Tomorrow? Does night keep being the exception?
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Because the pattern of night being the exception, it actually breaks here.
No way. Really? So you're saying tomorrow night is not wrong?
That's exactly right. The source is very clear on this. With tomorrow, you can use it with all the parts of the day, including night. So tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and tomorrow night, they're all perfectly fine.
Okay, that is quite a twist. After seeing night be different 3 times in a row with in, this, and yesterday, it suddenly behaves itself with tomorrow.
Pretty much. So you can absolutely say the party is tomorrow night, totally standard.
Or, I have a deadline tomorrow morning and let's meet tomorrow night. Both work.
Exactly right. Tomorrow night is completely normal usage. It's like an exception to the exception rule we just uncovered.
Language.
Yeah.
Always keeping us on our toes. Okay, so we've done the parts of the day with in, at, this, yesterday, tomorrow. Big area covered. But what happens if you throw in a specific day, like Tuesday,
Right.
or a date?
Right. This is where another really important rule kicks in, a powerful one. It often overrides the stuff we just talked about.
Okay.
Our source highlights this fundamental rule for specific days and dates.
Which is?
If you mention a specific day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, whatever, or a specific date, like, say, the 15th, the preposition you have to use is on.
Right. Yeah. We always say on Monday, on July 4th.
Yeah.
That feels natural.
Exactly. And here's the crucial bit. This on rule basically bosses the others around. It takes precedence over in the morning or at night. So if you're talking about Tuesday morning, you don't say in Tuesday morning. That just sounds off.
It really does, now that you say it like that. So if I'm meeting someone on Monday, in the morning, it's on Monday morning.
Correct. Because you said Monday, the on rule applies. Doesn't matter that it's morning.
Okay.
The source gives examples like on Thursday evening, not in Thursday evening. And this even applies to night.
Really? Even night?
Yep. You say on Friday night, not at Friday night because you said Friday.
Wow. So on is like the trump card when a day or date shows up. It just takes over completely.
That's a good way to think about it. The day or date is the main anchor. If it's there, on is the rule. Forget the simpler in or at. And like the source shows, it doesn't matter if you just say the day on Sunday or the day plus the part on Sunday morning, on Sunday afternoon, on Sunday night. It's always on.
That actually simplifies things in a way. See a day. Think on.
Pretty much.
The incorrect examples the source uses really drive it home, like in Sunday. No, in Monday morning. Definitely not. Always on Sunday, on Monday morning.
Exactly. Getting that on plus day date override rule down is super helpful.
Okay, cool. Let's switch gears just a little. Still talk about parts of the day, but those fixed phrases, the good ones.
Ah, yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
We all use them. They seem simple, but there's a really key difference in how one of them works, isn't there?
There is, and it catches people out quite often. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, they all basically work as greetings.
Like saying hello.
Exactly. Polite ways to say hello when you meet someone during those times of day.
So I walk into the office, good morning, meet someone for lunch, good afternoon, arrive at a dinner party, good evening. They're arrival phrases, starting phrases.
Precisely. You use them when you first see or speak to someone then. The source mentions things like arriving at work, meeting for lunch, entering a restaurant. You start the interaction with them.
Got it. Greetings. Okay. Now, good night. Does that work the same way?
Absolutely not. And this is the vital difference. Good night is not a greeting. You don't use it when you arrive or when you first see someone in the evening.
Okay, so what is it for then, if not greeting?
It's for leaving or when someone is going to bed. It's basically a farewell. Like saying bye, but specifically at the end of the evening or before sleep.
Right, okay, so leaving a friend's house late, you say good night on the way out.
Yeah.
Telling your kids to go to sleep good night, it's a departure thing or a bedtime thing.
Exactly that. And the source's wrong example makes this crystal clear. Saying good night, how are you?
Yeah, that sounds weird.
It makes no sense. You can't start a chat with good night because it signals the end of the interaction or going to sleep.
That difference greeting versus farewell, that's actually really important for using them right.
Yeah.
It's such a common phrase. It's easy to slip up on the last one.
It really is. Just remembering that good night is in a totally different category from the other three is the key.
Okay, wow. We've actually covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The general indefinite rule with that first at night exception, then how this, yesterday, and tomorrow work.
Including all those consistent night exceptions and that tomorrow night surprise curveball.
Right. And then the big one, the powerful on rule for specific days and dates. And finally, sorting out the good expressions, especially the good night, is for saying goodbye or going to sleep, not hello.
And the guide actually has a little practice section. Running through those quick examples might be a good way to just, cement it all.
Yeah, let's do it. Quick check, see if it's stuck. Okay, first one from the source. I'll send the email this afternoon. Correct or incorrect? That sounds good. This afternoon, correct for the current day.
Okay, next. Are we meeting in Sunday?
Uh-oh. Nope, see, the day Sunday means it has to be on Sunday. The on rule wins.
Right, on is the boss. Okay, how about the concert is tomorrow night?
That one's correct. Remember, tomorrow was the special case where night behaved itself?
Ah, yes, the exception to the exception.
Exactly. Tomorrow night is perfect.
Good. Okay, this one relates to the greetings. Good night, how are you?
Definitely incorrect. Shows a classic misuse. Good night isn't for starting a conversation. It's for ending one.
Makes total sense now. Okay, the snow looks beautiful in the night.
Incorrect. The standard phrase is at night, not in the night.
At night, got it. What about my exam is in Monday morning?
Incorrect again. Just like in Sunday was wrong. You see, Monday.
It has to be on Monday morning.
Exactly. The day forces the on.
And the last one, the parcel arrived yesterday night.
Incorrect. For the previous night, the phrase isn't yesterday night, it's
what? Right. The parcel arrived last night.
Running through those actually does make it click better.
Yeah.
It feels like, okay, there are a few specific quirks, mostly with night, and then that big override rule with on for days.
That's basically it. And like the source suggests, really the way to make this automatic is just practice.
Yeah.
Listening for it, trying to use it when you speak or write. Eventually, it just starts to sound right. You develop an instinct for it.
It stops feeling like you're applying a rule and just feels like, well, yeah, I can say it.
Precisely. And honestly, getting these common little phrases right really does make a difference in how fluent and natural you sound in everyday English.
Well, this has been genuinely helpful. Real deep dive into something that seems small, but is actually, pretty intricate.
It has layers.
It does. We've mapped out those night exceptions for in, this, yesterday, seen the tomorrow night twist, got the power of on with days and dates, and clarified good night.
Yeah, it really shows how language isn't always like perfectly neat and logical. Sometimes it's just convention, history, quirks.
Which kind of leads to a final thought, maybe, to leave you with. We spent time focusing on these rules that sometimes they don't seem to have a clear why.
Right, like at night.
Yeah. So does focusing on these specific, maybe slightly arbitrary feeling bits, does that change how you think about learning a language? Like how much of mastering it is about finding the underlying logic versus just absorbing the rhythm, the conventions, the things that just are?
That's a good question. Something to definitely think about as you keep learning and using the language.
Indeed. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.